What's going on, everyone? Jack Kellogg here. Closing out May 2020. Very, very consistent month for me. I'm most proud about my average loss being just $244, whereas the previous 2 months of March and April, I was losing roughly 400 to 450 per trade, and I was able to keep my average win in between April and March's average gain. So I was able to shave off 50% of my risk and kind of maintain my average win. And a big contributor to that has been a few things. One thing being that OTCs have kind of came back a little bit, whereas I was trading NASDAQs the previous months. And with NASDAQs, there's a lot more volatility, volume, competition, and all that stuff. So it's hard to really keep your losses to a minimal exposure. Whereas OTCs, it's a lot more friendly of action to me, and I've been trading them for the longest, and it's what I grew up on. I still feel a little bit new to the Nasdaq game, so I still get tossed around here and there. And I did take um, a 5 grand loss last month and the month before that, and that was my main goal, as noted last video, was to just eliminate that big loss in the month where I just feel like absolute crap because I make so many mistakes. And this month I didn't really make, I made one mistake where I didn't cut my loss at risk, but I safely exited on a dip and did not add to my loser. I lost about 30%, as you can see, biggest percent loss and biggest dollar loss on my screen. That was the trade I was talking about. But other than that, I had been keeping my losses very small and not fighting any names. There's so much opportunity in this market, and long, short, NASDAQ, OTC, and I was really able just to move on quickly because I knew there would be different opportunity right around the corner. So I don't want to waste my mental energy on one stock that is proving to me that I'm not right. If I'm not right, I want to move on, and if it does the move that I was looking for, oh well. You know what I mean? Whereas if you continue to sit there and fight a stock that just isn't working, um, it's very easy to lose the perspective of the other opportunity in the market because you're so fed up with one particular opportunity that you have your buying power locked up. You're not focusing on anything else. This is a trader friendly market where even not necessarily even scalping, but you can consistently make 10-20%. And then on the big trades that are working really well, you can make 50 to 30%, 30 to 50% on those kind of trades. And that's just going to add up. And just exiting your trades very quickly was the number one thing for me this month. I almost beat March, but I was about 10% short of having a new best month, but I still made roughly 70,000, which is really cool. That's a really solid month. I'm very grateful for that. I mean, that per year would just be insane. If I made 70,000 every month this year, would be insane. So I'm very grateful for that month. As we're approaching summer now, it's going to be June 1st, and that kind of enters the summer phase for me. So I'm going to kind of see how the market shifts, if at all. But I'll be ready for opportunity if there's still opportunity, and if it slows down a little bit, like, I'm completely okay with it. I'm just taking everything for what it is, and I say this almost every month, but I'm really just taking the market for what it is. And if there's no opportunity, I don't need to force anything. Our job as a day trader is just to take opportunity that the market presents us, and you can't force to make money. You know what I mean? If you're forcing to make money, um, it's just, that's what I did last summer, where I just kept forcing to make money. And, I did learn a lot because it set me up for this hot market, because I had been practicing for so many months with NASDAQ when I was unprofitable for that entire year with the NASDAQs. But that set me up for profitability in the NASDAQs. And then this month was really cool because it was just an old school OTC NASDAQ. That's my stomping grounds over there. And I was able to do really good, shorting a lot of these and longing a few too. Another thing I want to make note of is just a trading accountability buddy, someone you can talk to, someone you can share ideas with, someone that's similar to you. That person for me recently has been Kyle Williams. I'm going to go ahead and link his channel in the description. And me and Kyle have been talking on the phone a lot recently, and we just like to share ideas off each other. And especially for me, I don't know if Kyle feels this way either, but talking to him just makes me feel grounded, and I don't need to fight. And if he is thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, it's probably a higher odds perspective. Two brains are better than one, in my opinion. So that's been really good. He's a conservative trader, and I'm a little bit more aggressive. But that conservativity helps me as well, just rationalize. And I think that was also a contributor to me not taking a big loss. And he had his best month ever, which was really cool. That he could take some aggression side from me. So we just balance each other out really well, I think. And it's kind of cool just to trade with a friend. So if you guys are out there, networking is really, really key in this game, I think. That's how I've learned so many things, is just networking with the right people. But you definitely can learn everything on your own. And if that's your kind of personality, like, don't shy away from that. If you're a lone wolf out there and you're just learning by yourself and you don't like talking to people, that's fine too, man. But for me, it's all about networking, having friends, having people to talk to, bounce ideas off of. That's my style. But enough of that. I'm gonna go ahead and get into just some stats here. I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, my goal kind of this month was just, I kind of wanted to make a consistent 10 grand a month, or not 10 grand a month, 10 grand a week, sorry, and have like a 40 grand a month. And I almost doubled it. So I almost doubled my goal, which was cool. And a lot of that had to do with this last week here, where there was just an insane amount of opportunity. And I had my biggest trade on ticker symbol IMDBY, and I'll get into how that trade came to me and how I was ready to do that. Because the backstory behind it is everything. It's not like I just showed up one day and just did it. I had been training for that day the entire month. So we'll get into that. As noted, just small losses, 3 red days, very small. And my average green day was $4,300 a day is what I averaged this month, which is just crazy because my average loss is 250. So every single day, on average, I was making, let's see, it would be like 16, 17 times my average loss. Really, really cool. And just kind of some nutty stats. And I don't think that this is possible to keep up, but certainly for the month, I was able to do it. So we'll see. Getting into monthly review here. As noted on Twitter, I said I just had 5 losses above $500. And those are the 5 losses right there. And this one came on the last of the month, so it would have only been 4, which would have been crazy. Only 2 over 1,000. And this was the bad one I'll get into, where I didn't stick to my risk. So I'll explain that. And then just a bunch of smaller break-even trades, and then I was just banging out singles. Like all these singles right here, these really add up. Like I was saying last video too, guys. Like just being able to consistently make this money low risk, and then when your big trade comes, you're prepared because you have been building up cushion. You've been hitting singles. You have confidence. A lot of the best trades come when the market is hot, you are on a hot streak, and then you just nail. So that's what I have to say for that. And then I'll kind of get into these 2 tickers kind of are similar, and this one kind of prepared me for this one, as I'll get into when we start sharing charts. I actually still traded OTC and NASDAQ about 50-50, whereas I thought I kind of had traded OTC a little bit more. I'm not sure where the majority of my NASDAQ trades come from. I think more towards the first couple weeks of the month were a little bit more NASDAQ-y than OTC. But I went short more times this month. I think this is the biggest month that I've shorted, just because, like I was saying, me and Kyle were talking all the time, and he's primarily a short seller, and I've just been sick of losing on some of these longs, and I just don't have the conviction to risk as much on longs, just because um, I don't have that kind of conviction on longs for some reason. It's always been hard for me to risk a lot on longs, but on shorts I can kind of develop a conviction level. So that's why I like sizing up a bit more on my shorts than my longs. And usually my win percent is better with my shorting. So NASDAQ win percent pretty poor this month, only about 50, 54. So not really good. But as I was saying, OTC really was my savior this month. OTC was really, really good. It was the best month for OTC so far this year, in my opinion. And then long win percent, not bad. I traded a little bit less, and my win percent, is up a couple percent compared to previous months where it's like 53, 54, 55. And my short win percent actually went down a few percent. So my long went up, my short went down. So that just kind of shows that I do overtrade a bit, because whichever one I trade more, long or short, it's probably going to take a couple ticks down on win percent, and those are probably losses. So overall 1%, about 62.5, solid. And my average winning R compared to my my average loss was 244. So my average winning trade was 3.7 times more than my average losing trade, with a win percent of 62.5. So I think those stats are really solid. You can say, oh, why can't you just do this with 4 times the amount of risk yet? And there comes a situation where everything becomes how you think in the moment. And if you're just risking more money, you could make worse decisions. So for me, I have always just been a little bit more conservative with how much I like to risk, because I know I can make an average profit of $900, and I know how quickly $900 can add up. Whereas if you're trading bigger position sizes, you're going to burn out way more easily. And as I said, like 70 grand a month, think about how much that is at the end of a year. And that would just be awesome. And you always can do better, and I'm still trying to grow, obviously, so it's not like I'm not trying to up my risk, but I'm just comfortable for what I'm doing right now, and my stats are really, really good. And I know some people will comment and be like, oh, you're supposed to size up when you're doing this well, this is when the market's hot and all this stuff. But I'm just comfortable for what I'm doing. I'm comfortable with the money that I'm making, and I probably will not size up too much, especially going into the summer months. I will potentially up my risk probably at the start of next year, where I might get a little more aggressive at that time. I'm not the kind of trader who's just going to go from 0 to 100. I like slowly building it up. It's like slowly building a cushion. I don't want to take a massive loss and throw me off for multiple months. Like I was saying, you keeping that focus is so important. 152 trades, a little bit less than last month, which is good. And all this we already know. And then my profit factor was about a 6.2. So making 6.2 the times money that I lost this month, really good. My long profit factor, trading a little bit less with a higher win rate, almost a 4, which is really good. That's been my highest long profit factor this entire year, I'm fairly sure. And then my short profit factor, about 7.33, which is just really good. I'm really happy with that. It has been higher in previous months. I'm pretty sure February or January, when I wasn't trading as much short, I had a really nutty one. But that is still super solid. And, compared to last month, I'm a lot more satisfied with my trading. Last month, I was just feeling so much. That's why I was telling you guys, don't let the number throw you off last month. Like 52 grand was great last month. But, a large chunk of that came the last day on ticker symbol UABS. And for this month, it was just consistent with no big losses. And last month, I was going through a lot of I was really burning out all the time, because I was just putting myself at massive risk exposure, and my unrealized was just always very volatile, whereas my unrealized is a lot less volatile this month, where it just kind of just slowly upticked. I didn't put myself at risk, to be down a few grand and a few hours. So, well, I'm gonna get into some of the trades, I guess. I know I'm not sure what you guys want to see me review, but I'll review this and how, like I was saying, how this built up to this here, and then I'll maybe talk about a couple of these trades. I'll talk about my big loss down there. So we'll start off with the good and then end on the bad. So this is NMHLY. And basically this ticker first came on my radar early April. And we had seen it pop up and it was just very minimal volume, so we didn't touch it. But then it kind of came down. And as you can see, it liquidated all the way back down to 7 cents. So we knew that it had potential to unwind massively. And it went on another clean run from 12 cents all the way up to $1.20. And as you can see here, the price action was very clean. Morning spike, sideways, nice afternoon breakout that someone could have taken advantage of, buying that breakout from 50 to $1. So after this move, I kind of respected the stock. This was this day right here. So this candle is fake here, this wick. So it was a clean gap and spike. And then sideways into the close. And then I first started trading it this day. And this was at the end of April, 4/28. So it popped up and we traded it all the way back down here. And we left a enormous profit on the table because we didn't swing it back down. We just kind of traded it this day on the short side, and we were able to make some pretty good profits. And then it came down, and it then wanted to go on a third run right here, as you can see. And it popped up and did the same thing again and had the really nice move here. And then I looked to short it this day right here on the first red day after, another clean 3-day run. And this time I had a very good feel for the price action level 2 because now I had seen it pop up already 2 times. So that's when I shorted it. This was 5-12. And I had shorted it into the morning weakness, made a really nice gain from 70 cents to 45 cents in just the first 15 minutes. And it came back and I shorted the bounce and then built back into a position to swing overnight because now I had finally learned that, okay, now it's your time to swing overnight. All the overhead resistance is in. It's proven that it can unwind all the way back down. So swung it overnight and covered down here for profit, which was really cool because I had a feel for the stock like no other, and I'd still been scalping it too, guys. Like I scalped it on this day into a short. I had a good feel for the action. I could make 10% a lot on it, and then I could have the big trades on it as well. So as you can see, that was my gain on the stock from 64 to 49 to 25,000 shares, and this was 2 trades here for about 3,900, which was my biggest trade until IMDBY. And now we'll talk about IMDBY. So as you can see, this is kind of just like the higher priced example of IMDBY. And we had seen it pop up this day and it came all the way back down and it was just a little bit too liquid, as the same was for NMHLY the first day it popped. And then what it wanted to do is go on this clean 3-day run like NMHLY. And as noted on NMHLY, it had that huge wick candle on that first run that it went on when it was a liquid. So almost very similar price action, except this obviously has a lot more volume than NMHLY did, but the same kind of chart pattern. And other than the chart pattern, it had the same kind of level 2 action, and it was higher price, so commissions were going to be less, which was a huge advantageous thing for me to trade the stock with. So I had actually tried logging it a little bit here, and I knew to stay away from the short, but then I got interested in shorting it this day. And I actually started shorting this stock at $12, right? I started shorting this at $12 and it went to $40 and I made 20 grand on it. And I started shorting at 12. And it's not like I started shorting at 12 with the idea that it was supposed to go down. I just started using the tape on level 2 to get in near whole dollars with a very tight 20 to 30 cent stop loss. Let me get a sip of water here. So the stock was very, very good at respecting whole dollars, and I was able to build a cushion into the stock the entire day. And I had actually already made like 10 grand on it through this action right here. And then it did the insane parabolic from 20 to 40. And I read the level 2 in tape and I got short 39, 38-ish. And I wrote it back down to 25 and I was able to about double my profits on it for a 20 grand trade for my biggest trade ever. And as you can see with NMHLY, it just kind of set me up for this trade because I'd been practicing on NMHLY, which I felt like was just a lower tier play to this one. And when this one popped up, I was the first one on it, playing it down here, and I played it all the way up. And unfortunately, I missed this after it had unwound under VWAP, which was unfortunate. You know, I left another 50% on the table. Like a lot of people always say their best trades, you always leave some on the table. So I left a ton on the table here. Then I was able to short it the next day for another couple grand trade. And all in all, it was just a great ticker for me. And, you know, what I'm hoping for is it does like another NMHLY pattern where it's going to go on a couple more runs. And I'll be looking for that. We'll see what they can do. But great, great name. I'll get into ACB next, which was a really nice NASDAQ first red day. As you can see, same as the previous charts, the 3 green days on the daily chart. I'm looking for that first red day. And basically started shorting it at, you see the chart this entire time, it's very bullish above VWAP here. And here in pre-market, when it had this fake breakout here on the 4th green day, is when I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a stab. And I gave it a stab under VWAP, and I added, and got some shares, and I covered down here, and then I reshorted, and then covered some more down here. And it was just a really solid trade. I was able to make roughly 3,800 on it, and I was risking about 300 on my original position. So just being able to scale into your winner and understanding the first red day action is they usually give a bounce and reject off the VWAP area, and then you get that next flush. So I was able to double my profits on the stock with this next flush here. So very, very nice name there. BYZN, guess what, guys? The same pattern. The 3 green day extension, you know, I'm looking for the trend change. 3 strong green days, has the fake breakout, rejecting VWAP, boom, and all the way down. And this is the most predictable trading pattern that I like to play, is the first red day after a clean multi-day extension. Someone asked me that on Twitter the other day, is, you know, what was my favorite pattern? Another good one, SPOM. I mean, you see this starting to get the pattern here, guys. Every single chart has literally been the dead exact same. 3 green days, fake breakout, unwind. And literally every single, like, I didn't even realize all my best trades are literally the same chart pattern. CVSI, this one was a little bit different, where it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 day extension. But as you can see here, it wasn't that extended yet, and then it had a fake red day and then extended itself more. So as I was noting in the previous beginning of this video, I said that I won't fight a name after it has the move that I was looking for, and it was a fake move unless it extends itself. So it had, you know, this move here, and fortunately I didn't even short it this day because there was some other better opportunity out there. But then it extended itself from 70 to $1.20. So after it extends itself more after having the fake move, that's when I'm interested. And we get the fake breakout, and we get the fake high day and the unwind all the way down. Same pattern, guys. Same pattern. Every single one of my best trades is the same pattern. And now if we want to go to my worst trades, GNUS here. This one's been insane this month. The day that I lost on it was this day here. So I just knew this company being really sketchy to begin with. So I just didn't wait for it to extend itself fully. This went from 74 to $1.40, and then I got trapped in this gap down here, and then it ripped up, as you can see. And my risk was somewhere around this 130, 120 area or something. I forget exactly what it was. But it ripped through, and then I ended up covering at like $1.60. So I lost like 20 cents in slippage or something like that. Maybe 30. So that was my biggest loss. And as fortunately, as I said, I didn't add to my loser. I didn't make the trade worse. I simply exited and took the L for what it was. Then my other bad loss was NBIS. And this is something that I got to work on as well, is this was, a big time opportunity, up from 24 cents to, $1.80. So I was shorting it this day here. And as you can see, look how choppy it is. What I should have done is shorted it higher and had a higher stop loss. You see these dips here, or you see these wicks? I kept shorting it under VWAP and then covering back when it went over. It just wasn't, you see, it looks like it's going to die, comes back. And it finally dumped late there. I missed it. And me and Kyle were talking on the phone, and we both agree we're better at short selling in the morning, whereas afternoon dumps are a lot tougher. But we're trying to work on that, and I think that has to do with getting a better entry in the morning, somewhere in the strength instead of trying to chase. So that's what I'm going to work on for this next month here, June. And, let's just see what the market brings us, guys. I'm in no rush to make a ton of money. I'm just going to take it for what it is, guys. But that's basically it for me. I also wanted to note that me, Kyle, and Matt have been doing something called Steady Trade Twist, which is this week in Steady Trade. That's what Twist stands for. And we've been doing weekly reviews every Wednesday and publishing that video every Thursday on kind of some of our highlight trades, and then we'll put up a couple watches on what we're watching for the rest of the week. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to leave a link to the description, that playlist there. Pretty good vids, honestly. Like, it would be something that I would want to watch if I was newer. I think there's pretty good value in there. And then you got Matt as well, if you guys don't like all the shorting talk. Matt's a big time long guy. He just had his best month this month, which is really cool. So really good market. I'm very grateful, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Let's see what June brings us. See you guys in the June recap.